Programming on 90.7 WKGC and the Commodore Sports Network is sponsored by SWEETBAY. SWEETBAY is a bayfront village in Panama City that features parks, walking trails to the water, a future town center, and more. A community connected at the water's edge, SWEETBAY. More information about SWEETBAY online at sweetbayfl.com or 844-35-SWEET.
This is Coach's Corner.
Welcome, Commodore fans, to Coach's Corner, a production of Gulf Coast State College and the digital media program here. So Coach Scovel and I will talk about the Lady Commodores and what they did last week and big games coming up this week as we run down close to the end of this Panhandle Conference race. So Lady Commodores 18-2 overall, 5-2 in the Panhandle Conference, ranked number 1 in state coaches poll, ranked number 4 in the NJCA national poll. So Coach, we're getting close to the end.
Yeah, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. We got one more game this round, and then it's the final round. You know, I feel like Jeopardy or something in the final round. But you know, it's close, and it's been exciting. Every game is tough. The Panhandle women have again showed that you know, it's strong play, and we're beating each other up. So that's affecting our national rankings. So,
and that's the advantage or disadvantage of playing each other 3 times.
Yeah.
You know, because somebody has to take a loss every game that if we played twice would take less losses.
Yeah, you know, it all pans out. Sometimes it gets you prepared. You know, the Panhandle has won the last 5 national titles, so maybe in the end we can look back and say, oh, it was great. This year there's going to be one team that's not going to think it's so wonderful when they can't make it to the region tournament and can't have a chance at an at-large, and we're trying very, very hard for that not to be Gulf Coast.
So, and only 2 teams go to the state tournament, the regional qualifier, and if you don't play in a regional qualifier now, you can't get an at-large bid, because when they first had those, you didn't have to play there.
Right.
But I can see where the rest of the country says, oh, let's eliminate a Panhandle Conference team, make you play in a conference or your regional qualifiers.
I'm not sure what the thinking was, but I do realize that they, you know, said how you not play, you know, in a region game, and you just played in your conference, and you know, how do you get to the national tournament? So, you know, I understand part of it. I just know that, you know, if we're one of the teams that doesn't get to go, we'll probably don't think it's a very good rule, and if we do get to go, we'll think it's a great rule.
Because we don't have to play another Panhandle
Right.
Conference team when we get to love it. So, you know, so it depends on, like, I give Herman a hard time. Some of the rule changes he doesn't like. But when it's really to our advantage, like advancing the ball.
We like them a little better.
Oh, I still give him a hard time. I still don't like that rule, but I like it now. So, because, you know, that's the thing there. But if you go to the state tournament and there's 3 teams there, and then there's been times when we went to the national tournament, there'd be 3 Panhandle Conference teams there, and now you're talking about possibly playing each other 4 or 5 times in a season. So.
Yeah, you know, it can. You know, it was happening, and you know, but at the end of the day, you know, we sit there and talk about the Panhandle. Region 8 is getting strong. There's some teams down south, and you know, Florida Southwestern's ranked high, Eastern Florida, and Palm Beach is undefeated in their conference. So somewhere along the way, they've got some things going from fall to spring. So you know, forget Panhandle. The whole region is just a very, very strong region. It's exciting, it's challenging, and you know, kind of makes it fun to play and coach.
So Lady Commodores were off 1 game this past week, but we did play Chipola. And Chipola is a slugfest always, because there's just so much rivalry between the 2 schools. And we had a great crowd out for the game, and, you know, Chipola got us at their place. And so the Lady Commodores had their hands full, but won 71-65. In just a real battle.
Yeah, it was tough. It was good play. I thought we played much better defense this time than we did at their place, and you know, Naomi had a tremendous game for us. You know, almost double-double. We've been saying, you know, Naomi, that's kind of what my expectations were for the season. So I'm glad she picked the right game to, you know, fulfill the expectation. But Naomi really, you know, like we say, if we gave a game ball, it would have been to her. But it was a great team win. We played great defense. We just kind of stuck with the grind, and we played hard. We didn't get too frustrated. We had a couple moments there where we did, but we just kind of handled the moment, stay composed, and you know, and we came out. It was real, real important for us to stay in the mix of trying to get one of these top 2 spots to win that ball game. So just thankful that we won it. Now I think we celebrated for about 2 minutes, and now we realize that the game at Tallahassee is maybe more important than the Chipola game at this point.
So in this case, let's talk a little bit about the Chipola game. 19-12, we outscored in the first quarter, came out, played a good first quarter for the Lady Commodores.
Yeah, we started on a good note. Hit the first 2 possessions, and then they forced them to a timeout, a quick timeout. So we got off to a great start. It seems like when we do that, when we hit that first shot and score a couple buckets and execute well early, it seems like we play well for the rest of the game. But when we get started, we hesitate or we can't score or get a turnover or something, it seems like we struggle the rest of the game. So we got off to a great start, and that first quarter was good. To anytime you're winning a quarter, you're thankful, even if it's 1 point.
So second quarter they got us 19-15.
Yeah.
So they made a run and come back. Third quarter we came out 17-17. Yeah. And so fortunately in the fourth quarter it was 20-17. So, yeah. and like you talked about, Bondu, that was probably one of her better games in a while.
I would say probably her best game of the season.
So.
She shot well, she guarded, she rebounded, she just kind of did everything. Being a 6'2" perimeter player, it gives you some length, and I thought she utilized, her abilities, to the fullest this past Saturday. So, very thankful because, when you only win by 6, and free throws was huge, and we shot a great percentage from the free throw line. So the little details. This time the little details, Chipola won it at their place. This time I thought we handled the little details a little better, and we won. So.
And if you look at Bondu, she had 20 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 steals.
Right.
That were big.
She really, really defended and got in the passing lane, and we've really been working on that as a team all last week, and me having a fit most of the days, and so it was kind of good to see us transfer from practice to live play. That's been quite the challenge for us in a lot of areas of just transferring what we're doing at practice to live play. So if we can continue, we're still a work in progress, and we got a big ball game on Wednesday.
So, well, let's talk about this a little more.
You want to keep talking about that one?
So we got to talk about that just a little. Greg, 15 points. She is just quite a spark on the floor. In the way she plays.
Yeah, she's she can play multiple positions. She was guarding the point guard at one point. She was guarding the post. We needed her to score. We needed her to take charges. And again, it was a great team win, but she played well too. She and Naomi both. We all played well. About the only one that probably struggled from her normal game would have been Alana. Everybody else probably exceeded what their normal output is.
Well, Smith had 11, but she picked up 2 quick personal fouls early and didn't play a lot, and now every time she touches, they're doubling down on her, so she's going to have a hard time.
Making it rough, and she's again, work in progress. She's got to take those moments, kind of take it as a compliment that people are covering her up and doubling her up, and got to go with it. Probably got to handle it a little bit better, stay composed a little more, not get frustrated. And a couple of fouls at the end, she was frustrated with it, and so we've talked about that, and she'll be fine. Alana's a great player, and she'll adjust. She's smart enough to make the adjustment, so I feel like the next time out she'll be a lot better.
So, and in this case, Jones comes off the bench, a huge spark out there, play with a lot of energy. She's kind of somewhat the floor general sometimes pushing that team.
Well, she's a lot of energy, and and Tot's game is explosiveness, and so she hurt her she hurt her ankle at the Chipola game at their place, and has been kind of on the injured reserve as we call it since then. Didn't play a couple games, didn't play many minutes, and we could tell she was getting better, but boy, she picked a really good day to get a lot better and be able to move. And she was a lot more, she was our only person averaging double-doubles before we kind of started conference play. And then she got hurt, third game in. So, the other night it was, I think, 15 points.
15 points.
Maybe 7 or 8, 9 rebounds.
8 rebounds.
So pretty close back to her normal game. So if we can, Wednesday night will be another real good choice to get back to a double-double. And but she got some big rebounds, some big defensive plays, and Tot loves to win, hates to lose anything. So having that energy on the floor, as you say, definitely a big spark.
And then Farsi ended up with 7 points. Hamstring bothering her. Played a little beher.
Yeah, she actually was able to play. The last few games before that, she wasn't even really able to play. She tried, but we had to take her out. And the other night she got to play a few more minutes than the few games before. She was handling it. She's still not 100%. Don't know that she will be the rest of the year, but she and Todd are both fighting the fight with their injuries and giving us what they can.
So now we played Tallahassee once already, and once 82-74 at home. Now we're going to play in the Eagle Dome.
Absolutely.
And you know, there's two sisters over there, and Herman and I call them by their first names because
yeah,
we
I
can't
couldn't
hardly
do the last
pronounce
name either. Right.
their last name, but they combined for 39 points between the two of them.
Yeah, and I think they've gotten better since then. You know, they took Chipola down at Chipola, and they shoot the ball extremely well. I mean, to come in our house and score 74, you got to be a little bit nervous about what they can do in their own house. And yeah, that's really going to be a tough game. Their team as a whole, as a collective group, as a coach and a shooting coach, I love to watch them warm up. I just hate to see them go in when we start playing. But just beautiful technique, and they do everything right, and they're going to be tough to beat. We've really, if we thought we had to defend against Chipola, we're really going to have to defend against Tallahassee.
And one of the biggest differences with that game here is Lady Commodores turned them over 20 times. We turned it over 9.
Yeah.
Now, going to the Eagle Dome might change a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to have to. Yeah, that gave us a huge advantage. So we're going to have to guard. We did on that night, but they shot well. I think they shot over 57% on the night, and so we're going to have to try to eliminate their ability to score, and we're going to have to, execute ourselves offensively.
And so, right now they're 11 and 10. It would be easy for a team to start to try to look past them. Still ranked 9th in the state coaches poll. But like you said, these last few games, they're starting to put the pieces together.
Absolutely. Coach Huddleston, he got there late. You know, they've been working really, really hard, and then he had some injuries. He was down to, I think, 6 players a couple of games. I think they're starting to get a couple of people back. Yeah, he's gonna get it done. Tremendous coach, and he's gonna get great players. So we're gonna have to. Again, I can't say it enough. We're going to have to play one of our best games to be able to win.
So, and that'll be Wednesday. And then Saturday, we go on the road again, back to Northwest Florida. Now, this will be the last time we go to Northwest. We went over there, open panel conference play, won 78-66. They came here, and we won 59-54.
54.
So in this case, there's a team that's getting better, or always as good, but they're starting to put their pieces together too.
Absolutely.
And as we start to work down through these games, because right now, if we look at them, they're 19-4 overall, ranked number 3 in the state coaches poll, ranked number 10 in the NJCA national poll, and Northwest sitting in there at 4-3. So every game is important to them also.
Oh, absolutely. We're all fighting, for something, and obviously the top 2 spots. And that last round, we got to go on the road to Northwest and Chipola, and those are the other 2 teams that we're kind of fighting for at the moment. Might change in the next 2 or 3 games, but at the moment, those are the 2 teams we're fighting with. So I hate going into that last round having to go to their house, but it is what it is.
Yes.
We got to go play, and we got to worry about the next game. It's hard for me to look too ahead, James. I can't get Tallahassee out of my mind. But they've got a great team, and I think all of the teams are starting to learn what their strengths are. They're hiding their weaknesses better, and they're we're definitely all know where it needs to go. They're executing, getting it to their strengths, and Northwest has some tremendous athletes and some tremendous players.
If we quickly look at the panel conference standing, Gulf Coast is 5-2, Chipola 5-3, so there we have that half game. Northwest Florida 4-3, Pensacola State 2-5, and Tallahassee 2-5. But both of those 2-5s are going to beat some of the teams above.
Probably that's what you hope they beat somebody other than us and help. But if we lose at Tallahassee and Northwest finishes out, then we'll go into the last round with a 3-way tie for first.
So,
we can look at this thing a lot of different ways. I keep telling our girls we sure would like to have that 1-game lead over both of them. So we really need to win Wednesday and go into the last round with at least a little bit of a buffer.
So for Coach Rooney Scovel, I'm James BAXLEY. We'll be right back, and Commodore fans, with the men's coach, Coach Jackson, and talk about how the Commodores did on the Commodore Sports Network.
Programming on 90.7 WKGC and the Commodore Sports Network is sponsored by SWEETBAY. SWEETBAY is a bayfront village in Panama City that features parks, walking trails to the water, a future town center, and more. A community connected at the water's edge, SWEETBAY. More information about SWEETBAY online at sweetbayfl.com or 844-35-SWEET.
Welcome back, Commodore fans. Coach Jackson and I will talk about how the Commodores did and some big games coming up this week. Commodores 19-4 overall. More importantly than anything else, probably on this sheet, 6-1 in the Panhandle Conference in sole possession of first place. One game left in this second round, so nice numbers there. Ranked number 2 in the state coaches poll. In last week's NJCAA national poll, 17th. We assume when the polls come out this week, Commodores will advance in that poll. So right now, 2 teams from the Panhandle Conference will get to play in that state tournament, and some good teams will not get to play in that state tournament. So being there where we're at, you know, and having a cushion like this, and then, you know, we had anytime we play Chipola, that's a rivalry game anyway. Been that way forever, whether you're at the top of the conference, bottom of the conference, in the middle, that is just a war. And the Commodores came out victorious 68-66. Trailed the entire game until the last few seconds of the game. News station said 11 seconds, we said 6.5, somewhere in there, and Commodores took the lead and won. And it's one thing to say about this team. They just keep grinding and keep digging and keep, you know, and so a tremendous effort from the Commodores. At halftime, it was 37-28. So Chipola come out. In the second half, we come out, got them 40-29 to win the game. So let's talk about the game. Just a big heavyweight fight. 2 good teams going at it.
Yeah, and we knew it was going to be like that. Chipola had been playing really well coming in. They had run a 3-game win streak, had beaten Tallahassee. They, of course, it's a rivalry game. You know, the crowd's always big. They're right up the road. And, you know, we knew it was going to be tough. It was an extremely important game for us to try to make sure that, one, we stayed on top of the conference, but 2 is to make sure that you, you know, have the head-to-head wins against Chipola. So that's, you know, that was 2 of our main keys and focus.
Especially because this year we play at Chipola twice.
Right.
So that home court advantage went away.
Yes.
With us defending here and getting the first game. But, you know, in this case, if we come up short, now all of a sudden there's a lot of teams that are 5 and something in there. Instead now, if we look at that Panhandle Conference standing, we'll jump around for a minute. Gulf Coast 6-1 now.
Right.
Tallahassee is 5-2. Chipola 4-4. Pensacola State 3-4, and Northwest Florida State 0-7. So a little interesting for Northwest. I haven't seen Northwest at the bottom of the conference standings in a long time.
Yeah.
And in their case, probably out of the contention of getting in the state tournament.
Yes, probably at this point. I mean, right now they're eliminated from first place for sure.
And even if they, I guess mathematically there still is a prayer.
Yes.
But if you look in there, but the nice thing is it's Commodores 6-1. You got Tallahassee 5-2. So the Commodores a game and a half up there. That's a good place to be. 1 game left in this round.
Yes.
And then moving on. So, but back to the Chipola game. You know, that was just a war, and you have to start out by talking about Owens. You know, 23 points. Good night. 3 steals. 16 of 16 from the free throw line.
Yes.
And a 2-point victory.
Yes.
16 of 16.
Yes.
And the Commodores have not always shot from the free throw line well at all.
No. We talked about it last week. You know, we've been struggling from the free throw line for most of the season, but here in conference, we've kind of started turning it around. That's Coach Gaffney, you know, telling us that we need to get out there and work with them individually and you know, work on their form and work on their consistency, and it's paying off right now, especially Jacoby, because he was really, you know, down in his free throw shooting, but the last few games he's been fantastic.
So stepped up. If we look at free throw shooting, 77.5%, and normally what everybody will say, the team that shoots best from the free throw line usually wins a real close game.
Yes.
And in this case, they shot 64.7%. So that fact proved itself, but. You know, it was a great night for the Commodores to go 31 of 40 from the free throw line.
Yes.
Because there for a while, the only points we could really get was from the free throw line.
That's right. And they had the 3-2 zone going. They're extremely long. It makes it hard for you, as a guard trying to get the ball inside, trying to attack. And if we don't have the 3-point shot, which they were really good about getting out on us on, then we have to drive to the basket and create points. And so getting to the free throw line is a big part of our game. Last year we were top 20 in free throw attempts. This year we're somewhere in that vicinity. So, that's a big part of our game is getting to the basket and being aggressive.
So in that case, Owens with a tremendous game. The only other double points scoring came from Howard off the bench with 11 points and Gordon with 10.
Yes, yeah, and those are two sophomores that are stepping up. Maurice did a nice job, tipping the ball around, getting in there with those big guys like he usually does, and then Grant, hit a couple of key shots for us. So those things are huge.
So and if we look at that, then scoring from there. Now, if we talk about Chipola, number 10 Lauren for them.
Yes.
Just dominated in the paint with 21 points.
Yes, and some of that was them breaking the press and him getting some easier looks. But he's been coming on. We've talked about that actually in the scouting report about this second kind of round of games, how much better he's playing against everybody. So we weren't surprised that he was playing well and making that adjustment. And he shot well and made some baskets when they needed it.
And so in that case, then if you look at scoring from them, 10-point double, 11 points, and everybody else was single digits. So,
right.
If we look at turnovers, we turned them over 20 times to our 11.
Yes, and that was the key to us, and it's the key to our season is to get the other team to turn the ball over. But that was a key in the first game against Chipola. And then, this time it wasn't so much, me and Coach Gaffney were actually talking about it. It wasn't so much in the press as it was our pressure defense on the half-court game. And, you get up into those guys, they're tall, they're long, but, you can create some havoc. And I think it worked out for us, the half-court set.
Yep, and they did turn it over several times, dribble off their foot,
right,
double dribble, just things that pressure cause.
Yes, absolutely.
And so if we look at that, if we look at shooting for the night, Commodores, like we talked about, 77.5% from the free throw line, 25.9% from the three-point line, 7 or 27. But when they're long and lanky like they are and the speed they got, it's hard to. And we've struggled behind that arc for a little while.
Yes, we have. We haven't been fantastic at it on the season. I think more what happened was there were some clutch threes, especially there towards the end of the game. Trayvon Mayo hits the big three with like maybe 50 seconds left. So it was more timely than it was, just overall great shooting.
And so, and then from the floor, 27.3. They shot 64.7 from the free throw line, 26.3 from behind the arc, but 48.1% from the floor.
Yes, absolutely.
So always a well of a game when you play Chipola anywhere.
Right.
And so, and that was the second game. So, like you said, we've now got 2 and 1 game to go.
Yes.
Now, Wednesday, we go to Tallahassee. We played them and defeated them the first time here, 75-73, and it's right down to the, I think the men's team wants to make sure all the fans get all their money's worth for their ticket.
Yeah, excitement, whether you like it or not. So, but we found a way to win that game, and quite obviously they're going to be up for us. That can, tie for first place if they can get that win. They have extra incentives since we beat them already. And, I was talking to their coach actually last night, the head coach, Zach, and he said, that they wanted to get into it. They wanted game film. They wanted to get all this stuff. He said he quoted as saying it was going to be a war. So we're ready for that.
And if you look at them, they're 21-4 overall, 5-2 in the Panhandle Conference, ranked number 3 in the state coaches poll, ranked 20th in the NJCA national poll.
Yes.
And we go to the Eagle Dome to play, which is a tough place for anybody to go play.
Yes, it is. It's our only game away there. So like they're really going to be up for it. We were able to go over there and do some preseason, little scrimmages. So I think our guys will. It's not like they haven't played there before. So we have that kind of advantage, but. that's going to be a hard place.
And so, and from Tallahassee's coach's perspective, he got teed in that game.
Yes, he did.
And those free throws turned out to be huge.
Worked out for us.
And so in that case, but if we go back and look at them, Ellis, 25 points when we played them, a scoring machine for them.
He's done that, all conference, all season, especially lately. He has several D1 offers, some high major offers now. I actually joked around with Zach and said, hey, the next time that you guys come around, if you want to leave him at home, that's fine, because he's one heck of a player, and we got to step up and defend him better.
And so, and then Silver had 19 against us when we played them. So both of those, and then Stevens with 11 points. And if we look at that game, we turned them over 14 times. We turned it over 6. So
still a discrepancy.
Okay, so
big discrepancy. Yes.
Commodore, typical play there. If we look down, we shot 18% from behind the 3-point line.
Yes.
So you can anticipate the 3-2 is probably coming.
It's coming, or some type of zone is coming. I can tell you that.
So in that case, that's a big game on Wednesday. Most coaches don't want to look, but then Saturday we go to Northwest Florida.
We do.
For the final time. Northwest 12-11 overall, 0-7 in the panel conference. We opened panel conference play there, won 85-82 in a double overtime game.
Yes.
Where the Commodores had to scrap back and got back into it. And here we won 86-65.
Right.
But, in their case, they're at the bottom of the conference, probably not going to make the state tournament, but yet they don't want to go 0-12 in the conference.
No, not at all. And we talked about it to our guys some, when we played them here, that everybody that's in the bottom half of the conference, at this point is still a very good team. And they're going to go play spoilers. There's a reason why those players are in this league. They want to get after, they compete, and it doesn't matter what their situation is. So we can expect another battle there, especially at on their home court.
And so, and in this case, like you talked about those teams, we've lost one to Pensacola State. They're
Right.
3-4.
Right.
Now fortunately we'll have them in the last round here.
Yes.
But we have to go to Northwest and Chipola last round.
That's right.
And so
we have our work cut out for us still.
So in that case, but everybody's battling because right now we don't know who's going and who's staying.
No, we don't. It's still up in the air, especially the top 3 teams, us, Northwest, and Chipola. Things can turn on a dime in this conference. You like to be in this position, but it's still one game at a time, one situation, one play at a time. Because you have to grind it out in this league, and that's how that's the history of this league. So,
and right now, if we go to Tallahassee and drop that game, now we're tied for first because they're 6-2. We'd be 6-2.
Absolutely right, with 4 games to go.
So in that case, that's where how important that is. Chipola will be off Wednesday night because they've played 8. They've gone through twice, and so then that Pensacola Northwest Florida game becomes something to watch.
Very big, and like I said, I mean they're just as much of a threat now, especially at home, Northwest, and they, like you said, they have incentive to get in the win column.
So for that, for Coach Scott Jackson, I'm James BAXLEY. Thanks for watching, Commodore fans, and we'll see you next time on the Commodore Sports Network.
This has been Coach's Corner with your host, James BAXLEY.